Happy Wednesday. So this is listing class. This is mostly about what you want to learn. So I brought a few topics today for us to go through, but know that I'm this is the official CBOC uniform and you know as football's back and we gotta have a uniform. So
Oh yeah, can you mute yourself, please?
All blue is what I. All right, so today we're going to talk about the psyche of winning listings, and that is the key to get more people to list with you is to be more confident in the process, and including what you do to market their house, the actual price of their house. Because when we go to a listing and we're talking about price, do you think they're gonna list it at your price or their price? Well, let's just kind of go around the room here. So we'll start with Kevin, since he braved the traffic. No, just kidding, but yeah.
Showed up in the monsoon.
Right, so what?
Their price.
Right, their price. Okay, so why are people that are sellers, when you get there, they're gonna want to know what you think the price should be?
Why?
True or no?
Yeah.
You think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so my question is why?
Because they want to test you to see if you're an expert and you guess what their price is.
Partly, yes. I think that is definitely true. So we'll leave it open. Because we're gonna go around the room. It is definitely true that they are testing. By a seller, when you come to a listing appointment, is testing whether you're competent or not. But what are the other factors? Do you think there's anything beyond that?
I don't know.
Okay, cool. All right, let's go with Carlos. So, because what we're gonna do here, if this gets boring, no, just kidding. What we're gonna do here is after we get through this, we're gonna go through all of the steps to list a house. We're gonna play a game with ChatGPT, and I'm gonna have them spit out their top 100 things, and then I'm gonna show you the difference between what ChatGPT says and what is the reality, and just to introduce you guys more to using ChatGPT to help you know what you need to do. Because obviously, if we're gonna list 100 houses, we're gonna have to do the list 100 times. We better know what the list is inside and out. But that's what gives you the confidence when you go to a listing appointment, is knowing what's going to occur, right? Because that makes you feel good, because what your goal in listing more houses is, you have to believe that I am the best option for them, that they will get the best result if they list with me. If not, then we should probably have a one-on-one and talk about that. But the reality of coming to listing to the CBOC team is realizing that nobody does anything that we don't do. There's nothing out there that I'm like, oh my God, we need to do this better or this, so, and we do more to market houses than any other team, in the sense of I believe we spend money, but we spend money where buyers are, not just open houses, because everybody, the open house is definitely it. But I'm talking about, because not everybody goes to open houses, but everybody goes through the web. Well, 97% of people go to the web, right? Or they're getting advised by somebody that goes to the web. So to me, when you're marketing, if you're, where are the buyers coming in? Obviously, the buyers are on Zillow. Obviously, the buyers are on Google, because we're doing the PPC leads. But basically, all the portals of where we think that we can catch people, meaning, is their house going to be there or not? Today I'm gonna show you a presentation from, we signed up for EXP Luxury. And in that, it's on the Rob report and all that stuff. I don't think that advertising is for buyers, though. I think that advertising is for sellers. And I think there's a big difference between the two. But I want you to have confidence in what we do in marketing houses. But first, to me, Kevin, it's about understanding, why are they asking me when I go to a listing appointment? Why do they want to know? And is that, I didn't bring my glasses
Sarah
today.
Sanchez.
All right, Sarah Sanchez, good deal. All right, but we're gonna go to Carlos first, but Carlos, why are sellers asking us about the price if they want to list at their price?
To gauge, see if our data reflects on their, I guess, biases.
I mean, sure, it's a good softball out there. Like, there's nothing really definitive in that. Come on, man, you're better than that. Be specific. This is your chance. This is my chance to challenge you guys. This is where we get better, right? So, what?
To see if
Like-
we're actually brave enough to list it where at their price and try to maximize their profit or get close to what they need, not so much to what the market will support.
Yes, again, good. I mean, this is where I like to go Family Feud style on the board. That would be like a, you know, not number one, number two, or number three, but number four, right? Like, that's definitely one of the things, just like what Kevin said is one of the things, but I'm looking for the top one or two, right?
So it's Patty.
Hi, Patty.
They don't know. They don't know. They want to know what their house should be listed at, because they don't truly know. They have data they can look at online, but they don't really know. They could talk to people. They don't. I think they
Absolutely.
don't know.
Yeah, I think that's probably number two.
How
Okay.
much you love their home?
No, yes is kind of, that's one way of saying it, but yes, Patty, yours is right. They want to know, they're unsure of the value of their house. I think that's what you're saying, is you know, they have supporting data, this says this, but what is the actual number am I gonna get? And then what is the amount I'm gonna get? People do not know those numbers. Right? Because one of the examples I was gonna give you today, because I'm listing a house where I'm the seller and I was testing a number when we started. Adam and I had a conversation, and our conversation was, let's go with Sal. What do you think Adam and I's conversation was about this price? What was it based on? What was I going to determine? Because the thing is that sellers, in my cases, I didn't want to not get a number that I could get, right? Like, meaning everybody wants to try a higher number.
Leave anything on.
They don't want to leave anything on the table. This is why we always went with the 3 to 5%. That's why your passive number should be right at the top end of that range. But the psyche is, yeah, I just don't want to leave anything on the table. But then there is, what is their real number, right? Like, where are they at? And that's kind of what you're trying to figure out in the listing appointment, is with the higher number, you're trying to be above whatever it is. And for number one on the board, I think it's, if you don't believe it's worth that number, then you won't sell it for that. You won't be able to defend it. You won't be able to find those buyers. You don't, like, obviously we don't organically think that, but the reality is that sellers want you to believe that it's worth more so that you can get that amount. Does that make sense? What do you think of that, Patty?
Say that again for me, would you? I had somebody texting me.
Yeah, okay. That the seller wants you to believe that it's worth it, because if you don't believe it's worth it, you won't get it.
Yeah, I mean, they
You're not
always,
you're not gonna try and sell it for that. Let me say it a different way. Right? Like if you think it's worth 10.50 and they think it's worth 1.1. If you're like 10.50, then for one, it takes that off the board, like that's not gonna get there unless you can back around and show that, well, if we list at 10.50, we're gonna need multiple offers to get us to 1.1. But at least then you're saying, this is my path to the higher number versus. Because they know typically sellers don't believe they're gonna get over asking price unless we're talking about houses under 400,000, under 300,000. Where there's just a lot of demand and there's not a lot of houses.
right. So they, obviously all sellers want to get the higher number. So, I usually, what I
But they
do,
want you to believe that you can get the higher number, not that you're just throwing it out there.
no, I tell them what I do, the 3 price suggestions, and then, I tell them why, if you list it higher, you're going to be getting a lot less exposure, and I show them the percentages of the views when you list a property over market versus at market or under market. And then but I always ask them, what number do you have in mind? I want to know what they think. And a lot of times we're pretty close, when I meet with people, but if we're not, I tell them, well, at the end of the day, I want to do what you want me to do. This is what I'm suggesting to you to do based on my experience, based on the comps and what what's going on in the market in the neighborhood. But if you want to list it higher, we can try that. And if we don't get any showings or calls or views, then we need to talk about an adjustment pretty quickly.
Right, and that's where Adam and I was, I said to him, I will know if I'm priced right if we get 4 interested parties prior to listing. Meaning during the coming soon period, how many realtors reached out or how many buyers reached out? And I said, because I knew my number was high, it was 10.50. And I think it's probably worth $1 million around that number. But I wanted to try that higher number. And then we got 2 reach outs during the coming soon period, which was, and then it led to 20 or 25 groups through the open house on Saturday and Sunday. So that at least shows me I'm in the range, but just trying to give you guys the numbers so that when you're talking to people, to me, is always talking about the traffic levels will tell us, because if it's listed too high, you look at traffic, then you look at offers, right? Have we received offers? And then have we received offers at price? Are the 3 biggest determinants in determining whether you're priced right or not. Meaning, I don't think I've ever listed a house where we got 1 offer, maybe in the peak of 05 or in the peak of 2021, where 1 offer was $100,000 over asking price. Right, so most of the time where I listed is where I'm gonna get the offers, but if I list it there, if we don't get lots of traffic, so to me, lots of traffic would be 40 or 50 groups now, right, through the open house on the weekend. I don't know, what was the one on
Sunday.
on your house?
Nisbet, we had, I think it was 18 or 20 groups, 54 people on Saturday. And then Sunday, it fell flat. I mean, we had like 8 people total.
That was the same thing, right? All the traffic came on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then you got an offer at full price.
Yeah, we got an offer Saturday that day.
Yeah, right. So that's what happens when you're priced right. That's why you tell them, okay, if we get 2 to 3 reach outs, that we're kind of cooking. But if in the coming soon we get no reach outs, we should probably choose a lower number. Right? Like our data says that if you don't get at least 2 or 3 people during coming soon, so you can already be introducing that price discussion, because the market's going to get tougher as we have 8% interest rates. Right? The numbers are coming in lower. I don't think we're gonna drop in price, But prices are going to head lower because there's less demand due to higher interest rates. Right, because we're gonna sell less than 5,000 houses in October, November, and December. It's just where we're headed. So that's why supply is rising. And if you want, or you guys want me to talk about one of those things, but I think the important thing is after understanding what we discussed already, it's really just understanding about what is the steps. Unless there's something that any of you guys would like to talk about, if you have any questions, or if you came to hear this today, let's talk about that. Okay, all right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, for your benefit, I'm gonna try and, I mean, are you all using ChatGPT?
I have it open here. People to use.
I wanna use I started a chat that everything in it's real estate, so it educates, yeah, I'm just gonna do it right here. Right. Well, that's the thing is I'm gonna ask them what are the steps. They're not gonna be able to know. We're gonna see if the computer's smarter than them. Right? ChatGPT.com. Oop. Cause what it is it's okay, it's not great, but it does help give you an idea of make sure you're talking about all the things. So what are the 100 to 200 steps to list house for if you are a listing real estate agent that lists more than 100 houses a year?
200 steps.
Well, I'm just
Sure.
right. So, Sal, what do you think step number 1 is? Sarah, what do you think step number 1 is?
Is this once you have the lead or getting the lead?
You heard me. This is just, what are the steps of, this is just,
That's what I was thinking too,
Because
is
you gotta know.
And your
to meet the person.
Yeah.
huh?
Get your
Run your
license.
comparables,
What's that?
run your comparables.
Good guess. No, to me, it's talking to the person. Contact, right? Like that, this is the thing is, and I'm glad you said that because most people think, and probably because you're a little less experienced, you think that, but the reality is you don't need to know the comparables to chase leads. Right? Because essentially meaning the reason why I asked the question that way is because clearly we tend to do more stuff before contacting the client. Right? So what are the ways that we're gonna create a conversation? But basically it's conversations. First, number 1 is you gotta have more conversations. With people that own houses. Because you have the backing of the CBOC team, you can use our numbers and, like, it's not whether we know what we need to do, it's just whether we're doing the things that are the steps. And so this is why, if you want more listings, it's like, okay, if I'm gonna go to an open house, I wanna make sure I'm gonna talk to as many people as I can, so what am I gonna do? That's why you would door knock around an open house, is so that you can meet the people that own the houses. I mean, if you want to look, you could even look to see, you could look at 50 homes around and maybe just click through at night and see which ones are rented and not. right? But just so you can know, just a little bit of, again, so now you have a little local area expertise when you're walking around, you're like, okay, well, that's a rental and this is a rental and they own, and I'm just. So you wanna target the people that want, meaning when they answer the door, you wanna know if they're the owner or not. But this is what it's about, it's doing. If you're gonna be spending 3 hours in an open house, you would like that, you know, you knock on the door, you're trying to see, cause we're just looking for the people. The great thing about chasing listings is if they own the house, they will always sell that house. And hopefully, if you're a realtor for the next 20 years, which I hope all of you plan to be, that's a lead for you. No matter what, where a buyer doesn't always buy. A seller always sells. I mean, I'm sure there's 1% out there that never sell the house, but most people sell the house. So it's why it's worth it to get, you know, to me, it's, we gotta have a conversation. And then it's, okay, what are we gonna do? We're gonna either use text. We're gonna call the people. We're gonna email the people. We're gonna sit open houses, whatever we can do to chase people that, meaning, because I look at open houses as the best way to meet the neighbors. And the people that come to the open houses are the potential people that are looking to sell. They're interviewing agents to find someone they like and someone they trust. And then they go with them because they're gonna list it at the house that the price that they want to list it at. It's just whether you're gonna win. It's just trying to look at it a little bit different of. It's not your job in the listing to tell them what it's worth. The idea is that you want to make sure that they're realistic, that their house is gonna cross the price at some point when they're listed with you, right? Meaning, because cancellations were up this year for the CBOC team, and that means that we're listing houses above and we're not educating people as a whole, no one in particular, but we just had more cancellations, and that says that the person wanted to list above and we were unable to educate them. And that's why I'm working on your confidence here, so that you believe you are the best agent. So, Sarah, you're right with number 2. Pre-listing preparation. I do want to make the point though about contacting people is always, we should not wait to do more work to start to call people. Right? Like, you don't have to know the value of their house when you go through it. You can say, well, you know what, I didn't look at the comps before I was coming over. I didn't realize that you were ready to list. Because you don't need to know the value until you're ready to list, you know, but you should know the range. Meaning if you're sitting in open house, you kind of look in the comps in that neighborhood or not. If you're not sitting in open house, if you're calling through Sphere, or if you're knocking on doors, I mean, you know, it's good to know. Just from a tax purpose, you can just pull up an address and see the tax values. Okay, this is a neighborhood that's 500 to 800, right? Because you really just always range pricing everything. It's like, and then it's based on the comps of their house and the, you know, because usually people aren't list ready when they're out there just talking to agents. Comments? Questions? Right, so number 1, we have conversations. Number 2, the category is. It says pre-listing preparation, research the property in the local market, pulling the comps, right?
Jeff,
Yes.
on number 1 with conversations, it's also get the appointment. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, actually, this is why ChatGPT is good, and you are as well, right? Number 1, receive a call or an inquiry from potential schedule or seller, set an initial consultation.
Yep.
That means don't give up all your goods without going to the house. I talk to a lot of agents who are like, well, I've been there. You know, the point is for you to sell them during that point. It's for you to make your presentation how great you are. Don't let them assume how great you are. But great point, Patty. Yes. Number 2 is schedule initial consultation with the seller. And then number 3 is prepare a listing presentation. So we're gonna go into our prep and then we're gonna go to our listing presentation. So great point, Patty. But set that initial consultation. Where you get to present your CMA and as we come out with a new package. So number 1 is research the property and local market. Number 2 is gather information on comparable listings and sales. What does that mean? Sal?
Just to run the comps and see what's going on in the neighborhood.
Yeah, but I just wanted to get deeper, right? So let's take a look at my house that I have listed. Do you have MLS? Can you pull
Yeah.
up the just MLS? So what we're gonna do is, this is why I like to have, when someone tells me they want to list it higher, I always ask them, well, what comp supports that? Because if it's gonna sell for an appraised amount, there has to be a comp that the appraiser is gonna put as comp 1 in the comp sheet, comp 2, those gotta be filled out. So if you don't have comps to support that are in the range, the most important thing is you have at least 1 or 2 comps to be 1 and 2, so you get to the value. I'm gonna do a quick search.
Is it the same?
It's, yeah, I think so. There, oh. Yay. Awesome. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Alright. So as I'm looking in here. I'm gonna go over to the subdivision. Amiano. Alright. Nice. Why is that so slow? Alright, so we're gonna look this year. Cause I think anything up to a year would be a reasonable range at this time. For a comp. You can tell I don't have glasses on. Alright. Alright, so now the major things are I have 2 levels. I have 3 garages. Meaning those are appraisal points, right? And then square feet. 27 is 3,000 square feet, so we'll go up to 35. And then the biggest thing is the pool or no pool, so I go to the community one, so I don't have a pool. Yeah. Where's the dots? There's no listings, why isn't there? So none, what did I type in wrong?
Fabiano,
Did I spell it wrong?
is it supposed to have the?
Percentage sign, that doesn't matter. Zero still? I don't know. Any ideas, anyone? There's a comp for 1-1, but the point I wanted to show you was I wanted to show you the other. the upgrades, because that's really the debate that you're gonna have.
Is it only taking Aviano exactly?
It typically doesn't. Oh, because I put a capital A,
I mean, cause yours is like, there's like the village of Albion.
yeah, no, but it should. Okay, there you go. Awesome. So we're looking at this comp, right? Because that is what I think is the range. The beautiful thing in this case, this is what I call an over comp. 4.4, if you can see, we're a 3.5, that's a 2.5 bath. But this is the difference when I say number 2, Sal, is gather information on comparable listings and sales. This is that step. So when we're looking at it, you can see we're looking at what's that number? 3873 East Crest Lane in Aviano. It's 1-1. It's got a waterfall. But more importantly, you know, I think it's hardwood floors. They opened up the floor plan. You can see there's a extra tile, like because they did what they call the shower surround. They did floor to ceiling extra upgrades there, and they have full new cabinets. You know, spacious backyard with a barbecue. Nice house. So in pricing our house, I didn't have as wow. First of all, I didn't replace the cabinets. But this is a new cabinet, but these are old cabinets. I just painted them all. The lot's a little bit bigger in the back. But those are the difference in understanding the different price points, because I went with LVT. I thought I was going to rent the house. So I put in what I call the substandard flooring for the price. Meaning if I want a top price, I got to put hardwood floors in. I also didn't put different, I didn't run or do a decorative wall in the master. I mean, I did a new tub and I did new tile. I updated the shower, all that stuff. And then I did carpet and upstairs instead of a different upgraded flooring. And I didn't do high-end carpet, but the tile is the same as the master. We added a second bath or third bath.
Is that the original vanity with the new countertop on it?
It's the vanity that was in the second. This vanity was in the other bathroom. There was another.
Just moved it over.
Yeah, so I added a closet. And then I moved this whole space. I used it. There was a bonus room, but it was only 4x4. So I took the space out of the master closet and then I added a new closet in the master as well to keep it his and hers. And then I added, because I think the big difference was adding the extra bath, because the general rule is that 2.5 baths means you have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. But if you have 2 boys and a girl, they may not like to share that bathroom for too long. So that's the price point difference of we'll pay for a third full bath. I think that adds more volume to the house. But next, all right, so that was just discussing, as you can see, gather information. And then it's prepare your analysis. So now you're going over to this house and you're like, when you look at the comp that's 1,275, you're like, holy cow, right? Like that comp sometimes makes people think their house is worth 1.2. And that's why you want to ask them, you want to be able to have that discussion of what house did you see that makes you think that is your price? And then letting them know that, okay, we have bathrooms, we have kitchen upgrades, we have outdoor space upgrades. Do we have a pool? No pool, garages, right? All of those things factor in where it's going to be. So On my house, I already adjusted price to 10.25 after the first weekend, because I think that that's appropriate. If you didn't get an offer at a price and you had, because we had 15 groups of people through the house. That's enough, in my opinion, to know that you're not gonna, I mean, could we get 2 people bidding and get up to 10.50 now? Yes, that still happens. Because they might not have been looking. You know, they may only be looking up to 1 million, but they can afford more. A lot of people, think about the amount of buyers that you have in your buyer pipeline. I don't know, I used to ask a lot of people in the car is, if the house was perfect, what would you pay? If your dream house that you dreamt about when you were Zillowing one night after a few cocktails or whatever, you know, wherever you're in your Zen land, right? Maybe you're, you know, and you go out and you look at Zillow, like, and it was the best bathroom, the best outdoors, the best neighborhood. What is your budget? And then what are you shopping for? A lot of people have a little extra if the house is perfect. So understanding that a buyer might only look up to $1 million because that's what they want to spend. And that's why 10.50 is out of their range, because they don't see it until they're at $1 million, but then they see it. If they see someone else wants it and someone goes to 10.20, they could go to 10.50 because they can. And that's just understanding how selling houses works. Okay. So after you prepare your detailed market analysis, this is, I mean, for us, this is actually the Evernote. Your market analysis. That's why you want to put those 3 prices on there every single time. And the reason is if it doesn't sell, because you want that aggressive number to be, to me on my house, my aggressive number would have been 925. Because the last non-upgraded house sold at 885, but I mean, it's okay to be aggressive with that number. You tell them that I think it's gonna, because I think it's gonna sell for $1 million. But we don't know. What we know is we're gonna market the hell out of the property. We're gonna put it in front of every qualified buyer and more that are looking for that house, and then we're gonna get what the market gives us. That's what selling a house it is. It's not, we're not in charge of the market. We're just making sure that every eyeball can see it. Okay, number 4. Prepare a detailed listing agreement and any initial disclosures. It's funny because that's a 1 step when that's how many steps is that in itself, Adam?
A lot.
Right, that's 50 to 100 steps. You know, but I mean, when you realize, and this is why, and it's just, when people are asking you, I just want you to have thought through these different, you know, this is what we do, and this is what you're justifying. Number 5 is compile relevant property documents, deeds, titles. You know, we don't have to do that anymore, right? It's all on the web. Okay, now goes to what was number 3. It said prepare a listing appointment. So you got to prepare that. Now you have your listing presentation. And the listing presentation, step number 1 is that you're going to present, you always want to present your comps, or in here it says present market analysis and your marketing plan. So that means when you're going for a listing appointment, you got to know what your marketing plan is, and then what you're going to say about it. And in this case, you're going to have your market analysis, meaning you're going to have your comp 1, your comp 2, your comp 3 for the appraisal, because that is the best way to talk to a seller about it. Is yes, I can get a cash person will pay whatever they want. That does happen. But we don't like, you know, I don't want you to get your panties in a bunch if that doesn't happen, because it's unlikely, but it does happen. So the second one is address the seller's questions and concerns. So that's handling the objections, right? When you're sitting down, that's why you kind of want to go through, and I had prepared a lot of questions in this regard, is the questions that you should be asking for a seller. I'm going to give you a couple of them. So this is Meaning, what are some good questions that I should be asking during because I like to sit down, talk to them about what the process, go see their house, then talk to them about the value at the end. So when we're sitting there, I had questions like, first you go through your build rapport, right? You go through your mutual friends, people you know, same occupation, right? Then you ask them what they're looking for in an agent. What is our expectations? You ask them, how did they find us? Right? You want to know where on the web, and that's so you know where to market for sellers. Right? It's why I know that those magazines is not where buyers go to find houses to buy, right? They go to Zillow clearly, or they go to the Google and they go to a realtor. Record what they say how you find us, get specific. If they say the internet, ask them, was it Zillow? Was it Google? Was it, I don't know. I guess I think we might be getting some leads from really.com will be a new source possibly. Number 4 is ask them what their plan is, meaning what's the plan for selling their house. Don't let them tell what because they may tell you we're going to buy another house in another state. And that's when you find out is what your plan is. Then ask them about their timing, ask them how much time they spent preparing their house. It's good because if they say they've spent 50 hours preparing, obviously you don't want to then beat them up about their house. You want to compliment them. That's where it's kind of, you're assessing, you're in a sales situation the entire time and you're trying to tell them what they want to hear. Who else are they considering? How many others? How did they pick them? Understand that the team production this year, we're going to sell about $250 to $275 million worth of houses. We're going to sell about 500 houses. And then explain the process. You're going to explain to them that's what we're going through today. So, questions?
I have a comment.
Great.
I usually ask them too what they, when I'm sitting there and we're talking and we've gone through this whole process, and then I do, and sometimes I do it on the phone ahead of time. I ask them what they owe so I can do a cost sheet for them. So, because I want to make sure they have that.
Right. My list was not a complete list of everything. I was just trying to give ideas, but absolutely, Patty, great point. Right. The thing is, I think that you should know during your research, gather information on comparative listing and sales. I think you gather information on their sale to when they bought it and what they're in it for. And then also I like to look at their mortgages, right? So, and then to see how much they put down to see if they can qualify. And then also knowing, are they sitting on a 3% mortgage? Because you can see they refinanced in 2018. That way you know that they're gonna need enough money to get out to sell to give up their lower mortgage. But great point, Patty. I mean, to me, the biggest thing that I like to talk about is the question I didn't write there is when was the last time you sold a house? Because I want to know what their experience was, right? Meaning, because a lot of people haven't sold a house since 2015. Well, the process is just way different. I mean, basically, if they didn't sell since 2013, but more importantly, their memory has exhausted of what that experience was like. It took them 6 months to sell their house, and they're going to give you one comment about it. It was good. We liked it. We sold it. They're going to give you like one line representing, this entire process. So to me, it's more of, do they understand that it automatically gets listed on Zillow and realtor.com and these other sites? Do I need to explain it to them? Because the things is, okay, well, what, having listed before, what do you care about now? What are the things that are important to you?
I have another good question
Yes.
since we're on a roll. What are you gonna charge me? What are your fees? What's your commission?
Awesome. Yes. You're gonna ask that, you mean they're gonna ask you?
Yeah, I'm presenting it to you like that's, they're gonna ask. What do
Right.
you, yeah,
Yeah, that's not a question you're gonna ask, but and it's okay to state, this is my fee. Right? Like you're like, okay, hey, we're gonna talk about listing your house. Our listing fee is 5%. And we're, if we sell it coming soon, we do it for 4.5, or no, you don't do that, or you do 6%, whatever one you do, I don't care. And then, what are we gonna offer for buyer compensation? Do you wanna offer 2.5? Do you wanna offer 3? Let's look in MLS and see what people offer. I heard Patty says that hers a different way, and she says, my fee is 3%. My fee is 3%.
I usually start off with, I charge 3%. And then whatever, you wanna offer on the buyer side, we can look at what others are doing in the neighborhood and see if they're offering 2.5 or 3%. It kind of throws them off the topic of your side of the commission just for a second. It kind of shifts the direction of it, and I have found that to work exceptionally well.
Awesome. Use it. Try it. Try it. That's the biggest thing is to me is I'm excited to try that next time I go, whatever that would be. All right, well, this is about an hour listing class. Hopefully it's been helpful. We will continue on next week or next time we have class about going through the steps, just because it's great conversation. It's great things to think about when we're trying to think about listing houses. We need to contact more people that own a house. So go find as many people as you can that own a house and pitch them. Well, because if the market turns a little bit, you might see some sellers that you're unexpected. Because there's gonna be people that are ready to retire, things like that, or people that think the world's gonna go to hell. Because, there's now inflation's out of control. I don't know, right? Because the gas prices are going higher, so who knows? But there's always people. We're just looking for whoever wants to list with us. Happy Wednesday. Thank you.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.